Good evening, gents.
Hey, how we doing, kids?
We're good. We got an East Coast, West Coast thing going on again.
It's a Malt Monday.
It is Multi-Monday.
What is this, anyway? Episode 15. What we watch when we drink.
Last episode, we whined about our guests. And you know what we're doing tonight?
We're getting a guest in.
We're bringing in a guest.
We can't say no. They're lined up outside the door of BoozeDancing.com headquarters, wanting to be on the show.
Just clamoring to get in.
Our booking agent is so busy. So busy, our booking agent.
They are so busy out there. They got to take the ad out of the newspaper. That's the problem.
Something like that. All right. Well, let's roll the intro real quick, and then we'll get back to the nonsense. Welcome to What We Watch When We Drink, a booze dancing media podcast featuring lively discussions about movies, TV shows, and anything else that we're watching while we drink our favorite boozy libations. If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever else you get your podcasts. And you can always find us on boozedancing.com, and by all means, email us at boozedancing@gmail.com with all your questions, comments, suggestions, in the usual love letters, hate letters. We're here for you. So, gents, how we doing?
We are good. Going to visit with a friend tonight. And we're going to find out if he's a TV guy or a movie guy tonight.
Shall we bring in our man, Hatton?
Yeah, our man. It's our special guest is co-founder of independent bottler Single Cask Nation and national sales director of ImpEx Beverages, world-renowned whiskey aficionado, keeper of the Quaich, master of illusion, lord of his domain, and most importantly, former bass player of seminal power rock trio KIMONO DRAGGIN. All the ways from the great state of Connecticut. Ladies and gentlemen, Joshua Hatton.
Hey, do we got a drum roll?
Do we have a drum?
No.
Can we intersplice some clapping?
I'll just bring him in.
There he is!
Senor Hatton.
Wow, look at that. Thank you so much. And I have to correct you on just one thing. I am the current bass player of seminal rock trio KIMONO DRAGGIN because we've gotten back together. We got the band back together.
Wow. Oh,
well,
nice.
We will talk about that. That is exciting news. I did not see that in my current issue of Cream magazine. Maybe it'll be the new Circus magazine. I'm not sure. How we doing, guys? How we doing, Joshua?
I am doing very well. Normally 9 p.m. is my bedtime. But
join the crowd.
I'm very excited. Yeah, I'm excited to hang out with you guys, drink a little stuff, and talk about stuff.
We haven't talked for quite a while. We really just sat around and talk. And it's always fun to visit with the folks on the show and kind of find out where they came from a TV, movie perspective growing up. Mm-hmm. We know where we came from. Mm-hmm. The toilet, basically, and UHF TV.
I was going to say HE double hockey stick, but hey, whatever.
So, where did you grow up, Joshua?
I grew up in Connecticut. I was born in a town called Bridgeport, but my formative years were in a town called Naugatuck, lovingly known as the Tuck, the home place of Naugahyde, and Almond Joy bars.
What?
Ooh.
Almond Joy bars?
Yeah.
Love Almond Joy.
Not lying. Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you do.
Sometimes you
don't. So wait, hold on a second. They only made Almond Joys? What about the Mounds?
No, they made Almond Joys, they made Mounds, and they made Treasures.
I don't know them.
They were like caramels, just like singular caramels. You can buy them in a bag.
So was that Mars, or would it be? Or
no, Peter Paul Cadbury.
Oh, that's right.
Peter Paul, that's right.
Yeah.
Did the town smell of chocolate?
No, we had a really polluted river.
Did it smell of a polluted river?
Yeah, it was like a mix between Willy Wonka, because you know what else we had is we had Uniroyal.
Oh, nothing like burning rubber.
Uniroyal, yeah. So they made Naugahyde. You can get Ked sneakers from the Uniroyal plant. They would make Ked soles there.
Cool.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So nothing but chocolate and rubber runoff in the river. That's nice.
Chocolate and rubbers. That's it.
It's the home of the EPA.
Exactly.
That's right.
We are a super fun cleanup site. Waiting to be. So what was your TV viewing habits when you were a kid?
It was early on, growing up with a single mom and then a dad, both of them working. And I remember getting up early, 5:30 a.m. to watch the new Zoo Revue.
Oh,
remember the new Zoo Revue?
Yes, of course.
Coming here to
It's
you.
the new Zoo Revue.
Was that Henrietta
Come
Hippo and the owl
Yes.
and
Freddie Frog?
Freddie the Frog?
Freddie Frog. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And what else? Sigmund and the Sea Monster.
Sid and Marty Krofft.
Sid Marty
The
Krofft?
Crofts, yep.
Yep. I mean, I was born in 73, so I don't know what year that was. I definitely watched some HR Pufnstuf, but I think that must have been reruns.
Yeah.
It must have been...
Right.
Because I think that was earlier 70s or
Not
something.
much, I don't think. Oh, wait. Yeah. Because you had been watching it later in the 70s, yeah.
Yeah.
So HR Puff and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Land
like
of the Lost.
Yeah. Oh, I loved Land of the Lost. That was great.
Gosh, wow.
Yeah.
Those were good shows.
Have you gone back and rewatched any of these shows? Or did you need to puff some stuff to go back and watch those shows?
So this is what I did, because I had a recollection. I remember the line being, HR Pufnstuf, the thing to do when things get rough. HR Pufnstuf, you can't do a little because you can't do enough. And I wanted to know if they were saying HR Pufnstuf, the thing to do when things get rough. I wanted to know if they were telling kids to smoke pot when things were going bad. And for the life of me, I don't remember now, because that was a few years back.
I thought it was he's your friend when things get tough.
Right?
I don't
6
know.
and 2 threes right there,
I don't
in my
know.
opinion.
I don't know. Interesting.
So talk about nighttime TV.
I remember watching MASH with my mom. That was our thing. So I would watch MASH and Taxi. Taxi was a big one. I'm trying to think. You know what else we watched together? We would watch Gene Wilder movies. We both had a thing for Gene Wilder. He was my hero. So I remember watching Gene Wilder movies and MASH and you know what else? The Ghost and Mrs. Muir.
I love that show.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever watched that. Was that a TV show or a movie?
It was a TV show.
It was both.
Yeah,
but
originally
there was
a movie.
as well.
So while we're talking, we should be drinking. What are we drinking tonight, guys?
I had posed Joshua with the question, should we do rum or gin, since they were kind enough to send us samples when we did our live ImpEx show.
Yes.
Because I was intrigued by both, and I thought they were both really good, and it felt really fun. So, guest choice. Where should we go?
I'm kind of in the mood to be refreshed, and so I thought gin, because I brought some tonic with me too.
Nice.
I was going to pour a little pink elderflower, jasmine, and juniper. If you have tonic, wait to pour the tonic and sip on the gin first. Mm-hmm. There is such a pronounced note of lychee fruit on the palate. It's wonderful. It's so damn good.
What was Hamish's last name?
Martin. Hamish Martin.
He was an interesting guy, I gotta say. He was an interesting guy. He was fun.
He's quirky, he's fun, and I think most importantly, he's real. You know what I mean? Like, some would say, oh, that's got to be an act. No, the dude is 100% real and just a wild spirit kind of guy.
Have you met him in person or no?
I have, yeah. We went to the distillery and garden in April 2019.
Does he bring the owl with him everywhere?
I didn't meet Rue not in person. I didn't meet Rue and Owl, but only through Zooms and things like that.
You know, I got like a really big hit of like grapefruit, like the grapefruit like pith.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a couple seconds to figure out what I'm like. Just smelling. What is that smell?
It's very citrusy.
Now, Mike, you're not a gin person, correct?
I'm put off by the smell of juniper. I really don't like that.
I can understand.
So the
that.
fact that Martin does all these things, Hamish puts stuff together where the flavors and the herbs that he throws in turn it a whole different way for me. I sampled a little bit of this when we had them all on earlier, and I was really intrigued by this.
I think it's an interesting way of changing the whole category.
It's not like when you get a beer that's hopped, and we're going to put so much hops in it that you start to cry because there's so much hops. Like, we're going to juniper the hell out of this, and you're going to think you drank a forest. You know, he crafts something that, like, yeah, there's gin in it, but it's not just gin. It's a whole lot of other great stuff we've put in here.
You know, one thing I forget who we were talking to about gin. Maybe it was Hamish. It was, how much juniper needs to be in a spirit to be called gin. And I think from what they've said, it doesn't really matter, right? As long as there's some juniper in there. Is there like a percentage, like with bourbon, you have to be 54% corn?
No, it's by perception. So you have to at least sense it in the smell.
Okay.
And sense it on the palate. There needs to be a bit of a juniper presence, but and the thing is, depending on how you distill, depending on what botanicals you use and all that, that percentage can and likely will change. So it just has to be perceived.
But for London dry gin, does it have to be it has to be juniper a majority of it, or no? Or not necessarily?
My understanding is that, well, I'll be very clear, and I don't know if it has to be ramped up a little bit.
Okay.
But one of the things that I found interesting about all of these herb garden gins is none of them can be referred to as London Dry. Did Hamish tell you about that?
No,
I don't think so.
I don't remember that.
So, and the interesting reason is, to be London Dry, when you're diluting the spirit, you have to dilute it with just deionized water. But what they do, when they make the gin, they have the neutral grain spirit, they do the distillation process, and they steep, they steep all of the botanics in the alcohol, all of that stuff that normal gin producers do. But then they also do distillation with water. And so they'll water distill the plant flesh, the plant parts, and then bring down the ABV on the gin with that. And then that would be considered an additive. So it can't be called a London Dry gin because of that.
Right.
Are there limitations for gin on what the botanicals can be?
Yeah, well, I think it's suggested don't put poison ivy in your gin.
Could you put
be
fruits?
So that's a good question. Fruits I'm not going to touch because I don't know about that part. But in the U.S., I know there's a certain number of botanics that can be used, right? The common players, juniper, lemon verbena, angelica root, and there's a list of botanics approved by the FDA. But one of the things Hamish was telling me in our last conversation is, you have 3 of our gins, but we have many other gins that could be on offer to you, but we're not very sure if the FDA would approve it, because no gins will have been made using some of these, wild plants. People just simply wouldn't think to make gins using that. And so if we wanted to bring in a gin like that where he's using very unusual herbs, we'd have to get approvals with the FDA, and it'd be a much more involved process.
And who thought the gin was could be this complicated?
And you always thought that it was something for a cocktail or just one or two, like a mixed soda tonic, something else, not to drink it straight, because why would you? And you do something like this, and you're like, you could sip on this all night long. You don't need anything. You don't need to put anything in it. Does he source everything himself? It's all from there?
So there's 2 really unique things about Hamish and the distillery. It's the dilution process that I talked about, where they're also distilling the water with the botanics. No one else is doing that. That's very cool. And yes, and this is the funny thing, with the exception of the juniper that they source from Italy, all of the botanics are from his garden. They have 2,000 juniper bushes planted that I think are about 2 or 3 years old now, and they're about to plant another 4,000.
Wow.
And I think the juniper plants have to be 4-ish, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old, something like that. I could have it a bit wrong. They have to get to a certain maturity to give you the berries you need for juniper. So they'll rely on the Italian junipers for a while, but eventually everything will come from their garden, which is very cool. No one else is doing that.
So when we were talking on email about things that we've watched, Joshua, you brought up a couple things, and one that you brought up was Handmaid's Tale. It's season 4, I think, right? Were you there in the beginning with it?
We started watching it around the end of the first season. We started picking it up, right, just as it was ending.
That's Hulu, right?
Yes.
It is Hulu. And so we've been watching it ever since. And this season so far, we had to take a break. It's too difficult to watch. It really is gruesome and scary and uncomfortable the whole time. The whole entire time.
You are selling this show like they've never been sold before.
And that's why I didn't want to watch it. I haven't watched it. My wife has. She was just
Mine
watching
too.
an episode tonight. Yeah. It just seems so bleak.
Yeah, I think the previous seasons did a really good job of like dangling carrots of hope, albeit far in the distance, but you can see them. This season, the carrot is just a poop on a string. There's nothing to reach for.
You're not selling it, man. You're not selling it.
Should we move on to
But you should give it a go.
Should we move on to another gin?
Sure, we could always move on to another gin.
Should we do the lemon verbena or the damask rose?
Yeah, no. We're gonna end with the damask because that is just like gorgeousness. I mean, so they're all gorgeous, but that one to me is something really, really special.
I need to stop for a sec, guys. I'll be right back.
Let's just talk about him.
We could just talk about him.
I hate that Aaron guy. He's the worst.
Does anybody call him Aaron because of Key and Peele?
My children. My children say that all the time. Like, you sound like idiots. Just stop it. Just stop saying that. Because we have a couple players in town that are all Aarons, and they're like, "Oh, Aaron," and like, no, just stop.
Oh, I love that so much. It's so ridiculous. Do you know that skit? Keegan-Michael Key plays a substitute teacher, and he's doing a roll call.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay. That was hysterical.
And he's just mispronouncing all their names, like D-Nice instead of Denise and Jake Quellen instead of Jacqueline.
Yeah, that's
just
funny.
So ridiculous.
These gins are just so nice, though. They're just very sippable.
So, for Hamish, you're bringing in just these three? I say just, like it's not a task. Oh, is that all?
Yes, it's just these three. It's so funny, I shouldn't say I didn't think about it, but it didn't fully hit me how difficult something like this is when you're up against so many, regional, or local distilleries that, if you live in California and you're near Santa Monica and Santa Monica Distillery is making a gin, that's likely going to be your gin of choice because everybody roots for the home team. Yeah. And so it's interesting how things like that kind of
and that's the thing that you see with all the the craft distillers around here. They make the vodka and they make the gin, so they actually have something to sell while they wait for the other stuff to get to 3 years or 4 years or drinkable, whatever it is.
Yeah. Anyway, so apologies from Aaron. He had a little family emergency going on, so he had the boogie. So let's continue here. Where were we? We were with the lemon verbena.
Yeah, the lemon verbena and juniper. And, I was asked why these say juniper on them. Because they all have to have juniper in them. And in the UK, this brand just says lemon verbena, and the other one just says pink elderflower and jasmine. But these ones say and juniper, and it was a TTB thing. So the government agency that approves labels basically said, if you're going to highlight one ingredient, you have to prove that it's a gin. So if there is juniper in there, you got to make sure it also says juniper.
Okay, so wait, let's go back to what's it called? You were selling The Handmaid's Tale. I mean,
was he?
I don't know. He was trying to sell The Handmaid's Tale. My wife has watched it. I just couldn't do it. I like Elizabeth Moss. I'm sure the rest of the cast is great too. But it just seems so bleak.
It felt important when it was released and continued to feel important as it went on. And I'll just leave it there.
I get it. I mean, and it's interesting though, because I don't know if the representation is quite where it needs to be in terms of entertainment. But there had been a lot more like women-centric stories coming up. Mm-hmm. Between that, Orange is the New Black. We discussed My Brilliant Friend on HBO. which is about two girls growing up in Italy in Naples, like in the 50s into the 60s, which is really good. That one. It's really good.
Yeah.
But that also has its moments where it could just be like, oh my God, this is horrible, because they're living in like a poor town, and men's heads are where men's heads are, and we're not the we're not the nicest guys in the world, at least not back then. I hope we're a little more enlightened than they were, but it was just rough. I mean, these girls just wanted to go to school, and it was like you'd think they wanted a Ferrari and a house by the beach. All they wanted to do was go to school, but the parents were lower income, or just didn't have the education. So it was an interesting show. But it's really good. It's a really, really good show.
What's it called again?
It's called My Brilliant Friend. It was an HBO show. Well, it's HBO and I guess whatever the Rai, the Italian production company. It was like a joint venture with them.
Oh, okay.
Their version of the BBC, the Italian version of the BBC.
Yep.
So it's really good.
I gotcha.
But there's that, and then have you seen the previews for Hacks on HBO Max?
That sounds familiar. Who can you give me some names?
Jean Smart's the star, and she plays she's a comedian, and she's in the show, and she's like a headliner in Vegas, and she's getting later in her she's later in her career. She's like in her late 60s. And the casino owners are trying to kind of bring in younger talent. But it focuses on her, and then there's a woman that they tried to assign her, like a fresher comedy writer. And she's got her issues. Like, she issued like a bad tweet, and she got in trouble, and she got fired from her show. Now she's looking for work, and she really doesn't want to work for Jean Smart. But, she just got a house, and she's got a mortgage to pay, and all this kind of stuff. So, and there's a little bit, they definitely clash in the beginning, but I suspect they're going to get closer and friendlier as the show goes on. But it's really good, and it's a half-hour comedy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. It's so funny. I know this name, and I can't picture her face, and I'm usually very good with faces.
She was on Designing Women back in the day.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was just in it's the HBO.
Oh, she's on the Mare of Easttown
with Regina King. What was the thing she was in? Regina King.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was in Watchmen also.
She plays the government agent in that.
I tried watching Watchmen, and I just wasn't. It wasn't my cup of tea.
It didn't click with you?
It didn't. I've got a lot of graphic novel fans in my circle of friends, and all of them said you got to read The Watchmen. So I tried reading it, and I just couldn't get into it.
Okay. Were you a comic person growing up?
Yeah, very much so.
Mike, you were too, weren't you?
Yeah, but I wasn't so much into the Watchmen part of it, the apocalyptic view of things where, Nixon's president forever and then Redford becomes president and all that stuff. I'm more like the little, look what the Flash did today.
Yeah, I never really read comics as a kid. I didn't read much as a kid, to be quite honest.
And I always liked the DC comics better as comic books, but the Marvel movies are so much better on screen, which is just one of those 100%. Things like people are like, oh no, you're one or the other, and you're like, no, I like them both, but I always like the DC books better, but they don't translate to the screen as well, or they haven't to date. They're just not as well done.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's funny. I always felt the DC universe on paper, it always felt more real or more relatable, even though it was set in a world that wasn't real. Where the Marvel universe on paper, which is set in the real world with Manhattan and LA and all this, didn't seem as real or relatable. But I agree with you also on 100%. Marvel movies are so much better than DC movies. Yeah.
Oh, that's without a doubt.
What about the Nolan Batman movies, though?
Well, Christian, it all really depends on who the Batman is. Like if you view Adam West as the Batman, Christian Bale's not your guy. And like when you migrate and it's, Michael Keaton, he was admirable playing Batman, but he's not Batman. He's not dashing. He's not athletic. He doesn't look like he's very smart. Yeah. And again, I mean, he might be all those things, but he doesn't look like he's any of those things. Yeah. He's the guy from Night Shift. He's spectacular in Night Shift.
Oh my gosh.
But he's not Batman.
He's Mr. Mom, for God's sake.
He's Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom.
I mean, he's great in those things, but as Batman, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't know. I like the second one, but I think it was because of Heath Ledger. And Heath Ledger was really, really good.
Can I tell you a funny story that I just heard?
Absolutely.
Haida was listening to, she had just gotten a Seth Rogen book of stories, and he was telling this story about a night where he was at the Oscars and him being stuck in the elevator with Heath Ledger's parents after they received his posthumous Oscar. He didn't know what to say to them, but he felt he had to say something to him, and so he just said, "Congratulations." And he felt so bad as that word was like, "Congratulations." Oh, your son's dead.
No, wait, not congratulations. What's that other word?
Yeah, exactly.
I swear I'm a writer. I swear I am.
No, that's not good. No, but the second one was good. I did like the second one a good bit. The third one was okay, had its moments. It was uneven, though. With, what's his name? With, what was it?
Oh,
Hardy?
what's his name?
Tom
Tom
Hardy.
Hardy.
Plays
Yeah,
Bane.
that's
Who's the woman?
Marianne Cotillard.
Right. I didn't care for it. You know, I'm not big on Christian Bale. He has his moments. I did really like him. He didn't win me over till Ford versus Ferrari because I thought he was great in that.
Do you know I haven't seen that yet?
It's a fun movie.
Wait a second. You're saying he didn't win you over in Empire of the Sun?
You know, see, I don't think I've ever seen it.
No, he's really good in Empire of the Sun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
He's really
he's
good.
excellent.
I've never
He's
seen
excellent.
it.
Yep.
I don't know why I never saw it.
Oh my gosh,
He's really good.
that is so worth your time. It
All right,
really
I'll
is.
I'll put it on my list.
Yeah.
I will add it to
I
my
also
list.
think some of the Batman movies have had overcomplicated plots.
Right.
Where you come up with the Seth Green, you just get a gun and you kill him. What are you doing? You just I got guns in my room. We just kill him. It gets so overly complicated. And you're like, okay, so to take Batman down in the third one, you're gonna crash the stock exchange, steal all of his money. Just shoot him. Shoot the guy. He doesn't know you're the bad guy. You have him alone. Shoot him. This lemon verbena is really nice.
That is nice.
It's really nice.
I like it. This one I prefer with a little tonic water. I think like the pink elderflower, like you had said, Mike, you could just drink and drink and drink it. Yeah. This one I think is straightforward enough. Like it's wonderful and it's tasty, but it's a bit more centered in its flavors. That this is just kind of put some in a glass, throw some tonic in there, maybe pop some grapefruit, like a slice of grapefruit, and just hang out with friends. Like that's what this one is for me.
I think it certainly would up the cocktail because it's such a quality gin that you're not just making a gin and tonic, you're making a really good gin and tonic.
Exactly, a really good one.
Now, we've known you for what, a good 10 years at least?
Somewhere between 10 and 12.
Yeah, like when did you start blogging? When did you start, what was it, jumalt.com, correct?
Yeah, it was February of 2009.
Okay, yeah, so you were ahead of us by about a year or so.
Yeah.
When did we start? April of 2010?
Yeah, something like that.
It was around that time? So we're just past, like, I think 11
We just
years,
hit 11,
I guess.
yeah.
When did you start getting to other spirits, or were you always a whiskey guy?
I mean, when it came to hard liquor, I was always a whiskey guy. I preferred the flavors coming out of whiskey than anything else, and that rings true. Like I'm still a whiskey guy, and specifically a malt whiskey guy, and even more specifically a Scotch malt whiskey guy.
I feel sort of the same way. I mean, I like bourbon, I like Japanese whiskeys and all that, but I think when were we talking about? I forget who we were talking to, but it's like a tiny little country, and there's 130 different distilleries, and the flavors are all over the place, and it's all malt.
130 different flavors. 130,
and it's all malt, but they still manage to do something a little different in each one.
And each of them rolls out 6 different ones, and each of the 6 are different. And you got all the independent bottlers buying up the stock they don't want to, put in their blends, and each one of those is different. I mean, it's just it's such a revelation when you get a bottle. My problem with the independent bottlers is you get a bottle that you really love, and you'll never get it again.
This one's directed right at you.
It was so good. I'll never get this again.
So as an independent bottler, he would say, well, just buy 2.
Yeah, but see, when you're around, that just means there's more for you.
Believe me, I get it.
Well, I'm sure there are some that you had from the very beginning that were still ring true in your mind and were just revolutionary, and now you're like, boy, I'd love to have that again.
I know Aaron had to leave, and I feel bad that he had to leave. I want to show you something. I took Aaron on a tour of Scotland for the first time in 2014, and we were at the Cadenheads warehouse, and I got this bottle. Oh, I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
No, not the Dallas
Yeah.
Dew.
To Dallas Dew from 1979. It was 35 years old, and I think I paid £100 for this.
By the
That
way-
was just the price. Like,
Mike just died a little bit inside.
Yeah, that's my favorite distiller. I hate you.
it is.
I hate you.
So I bought this bottle, and now obviously it's long gone, but it was only 100, maybe 110 pounds. I should have just splurged and bought many bottles. I should have just purchased a life of debt in bottles of this Dallas Dew because it was glorious. And I'm, 3/4 of the way done or whatever it is. And this will just be gone.
Yeah.
And if I went back to Cadenheads to buy some more Dallas Dew 1979 and 2021, it would be 1,500 pounds. It would just be so much more.
Yeah.
Right?
If they even have it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I know they don't.
Where Cadenheads is in Campbelltown?
Campbelltown, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The first extravaganza we went to in Philly, the society had their table of society bottlings, and then their Liberty Spirits or whatever the Shane's name was, and they had a couple of independent things that they had over there, classic casks or something, and one of those was the Dallas Dew, and I was hooked after that. I had no idea Scotch could be so good, and that was just so spectacular. And then kicking and screaming, I've been dragged all over the rest of Scotland by you.
We do that.
The trip to Islay was painful, but now I can't leave.
Painful as in not painful, as in it was absolutely wonderful.
I
You need to
didn't
go back?
appreciate peated whiskey, and now I just love peated whiskey.
That's how it goes,
Where you
man.
just sit back and you're like, I didn't get it. I just didn't get it. And now you're like, okay, I didn't get it because I didn't get good peated whiskey. Now I get it. Now I get it.
Being at the source
Yeah.
does something too.
Oh, but my original question was: so you were primarily a whiskey drinker. Did you like gin then, or did you not care for gin, or has it been like an evolution?
I think it's still an evolution. I like gin. For me, gin was always just something you mix with tonic, right? And you're on your way and you're having fun with friends. And now, I think it really took that trip to Hamish's garden into the distillery to make me realize there's more to it, that there's craftsmanship here, and there's that it doesn't have to just be that mixer, that brainless mixer, that there could be something beautiful about it.
It's no longer, well, why do you do that? Because we've been doing that for 100 years. It's like, why do you do that? Because I thought it would be kind of neat. I wanted to try it and see what happened. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't work, I'll try something else tomorrow and see how that goes. And it really is, the craftiness has really spread across everything with the changes in the barrels, even for the Scotch, where they're using different kinds of wine barrels now, not just using sherry. And they're rolling out, different kinds of chars and different this and different that. And I think the old stayed kind of, well, we're 200 years old and this is how it goes. It just doesn't fly for anybody anymore because there's so much out there now that people are like, yeah, I do like the way you do things, but I like to try something new and see what happens over here. The stuff that like Ardbeg does with all those crafty bottlings they roll out, it's just like the gin guys coming out. Juniper's not going to cut it anymore. We need more than one thing. We have to have more notes and try something else.
Back before the apocalypse and we could do whiskey shows and things like that, it was interesting as the years went on, as I was doing shows, more and more people were just saying, oh, is that new? Let me try that. And you say, oh, here's a Welsh whiskey from Wales. That's cool. Let me try that. And, it used to be, back before I was into whiskey, before you guys were probably into whiskey, it was, nope, we are Scotch whiskey. We're at the show. We're wearing kilts here. Try some nice butter cookies, and they're made at Walker's, and and it was just like we're showing you tradition and heritage, and I think tradition and heritage still has its place and will always have its place. But it's cool seeing these distilleries whether it's whiskey or gin, that are retaining this certain tradition, but also trying to show you other sides, trying to show you that new, because people are interested in new and different.
Yeah, I mean, just watching the distilleries evolve over time, like us watching you evolve over time. You started as a blogger, then you went independent bottling, and event impresario, and now you're now you're handling the whole country, right, for ImpEx?
I am. Well, I shouldn't say yes.
Well, you're the national sales director, correct?
I'm the national sales director, so yes, I work with a team of salespeople to run the country and sell whiskey.
That's kind of neat, because we always joke about our life 2.0. Well, I'm still at life 1.1, so
I'm at like life 0.05.
0.05. Mike's still in beta.
I haven't been released. I'm still in the testing.
And it's been fun to watch, It's just fun to see folks just kind of going from either blogging or something, and then moving into something else, moving into things they like and love, and being able to, make a living at it.
I think we can all blame Dr. Whiskey for that.
Oh, Sam Simmons,
right? Yeah, Simmons. He made the blogger's dream a reality.
Well, he was brand ambassador for Verbena?
Yeah, he also worked, I think before that he worked with the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, and then he was with Balvenie for a good long while, and now he's doing that boutique whiskey company.
Right. He's from Canada originally, right?
Yeah, he is, yep.
Should we move on to the Damask Roast Gin? And we can talk about some of the shows? Yes. And while we're pouring, what else have you been watching besides the bleakness? What, you have some levity in your watching?
A show that we've been meaning to watch for a good long while. We finally just binged it. Eastbound and Down.
Oh, okay. I saw parts of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. But what's the Danny McBride?
Yeah, Danny McBride, and he plays just this washed up baseball player. But also the worst person in the world, and somehow he's the protagonist, and he's just
the
terrible.
worst.
He's just the worst. He's like Archie Bunker, but terrible.
They took the Sam Malone character from Cheers, and made him Archie Bunker instead. I rooted against you when you played. I was glad you weren't successful. I'm glad you're out of baseball.
I didn't watch that one, but I did watch the other show with him. Was it Vice Principals? I watched bits and pieces of that. Yeah. And he's again another despicable character, and Walton Goggins is in it. It had its moments. It was pretty good.
He's very good playing despicable.
Oh, he is. He's very good.
He's excellent. He's excellent at it.
How many seasons are there on Eastbound and Down? Is it just a couple or
4? Yeah, there's 4.
Okay. Now, did you watch it all?
We did. Yeah.
You and your wife?
Could not get enough of it. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
What about more current stuff?
My daughter turned us on to this show called Infinity Train. And it's like a 11 or 12 minute cartoon. The first episode starts off so sad, but the idea of it is this girl, her parents are getting a divorce, and she decides to go on this walk, and while she's on this walk, a train appears out of nowhere and she gets on it. And her mission for the season is to basically reconcile with her parents getting divorced. But each episode is a different segment in this infinity-long train. And it's a new challenge for her to face as she's grappling with, feeling responsible for her parents' divorce. And it's done in such a smart way. I think it's good for kids. I think it's good for parents. I think it's really good for kids that may be going through that kind of situation to help them relate to it. And there's funny parts, but there's also sad parts, and I kind of like that. I like when you can mix the funny and the sad. And I like too that my daughter showed me something that was cool, and fun, and she found it on her own and said, "This is really interesting. You should pay attention to this."
Infinity Train. Oh, that sounds good.
Infinity Train.
And it sounds like you could just kind of move through it pretty quickly too. It's not it's not a big time commitment.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's 11, 12 minutes per episode, something like that. And there's some really good voices in there. Oh, who's the guy? He's in Ghostbusters. African-American guy. I forget his name.
Ernie Hudson?
Yeah. And he plays this talking... Oh, geez, what are the dogs that the Queen has?
Like corgis or something?
Corgis, yeah. He plays a corgi king that wears a crown.
Oh, that's funny.
And he always wants belly rubs, and it's really good. There's a lot of really good people in this, really good voice acting, and it's worth your time.
Well, you know, it's like we've talked about HBO a lot. I mean, you know, HBO Max, future sponsor of What We Watch When We Drink. But they're operating at a different level. They really are. Ever since The Sopranos, they're like, you know, I'm not saying all the shows are great, because some shows that I really just don't like, but they're still managing to just get the talent from, you know, behind the camera, in front of the camera, the whole bit. And they know how to cultivate a show. It's just different. Like Showtime doesn't do it as well. I don't think Starz does it as well, or the other premium channels.
I'll tell you, though, Showtime has a show called The Good Lord Bird.
Oh, I heard about that.
Have you seen
we
that?
talked about it. No, I heard it's really good, though. That's supposed to be excellent.
It is excellent, and I don't like Ethan Hawke typically, but he's awesome.
Because
He's
he
really
wrote,
good
directed,
in it.
or...
I think he did. Yeah, I think he did.
So...
There was another show on Showtime with what's his name from Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston.
Oh, see,
where he plays a
did you
a
like
judge.
that?
I liked it until the ending. There was no effort put into the ending at all. No effort. They just gave up.
Just
They're like,
phoned it
let's do this.
You know, it's funny because
let's do the most obvious thing in the world.
I think we watched it out of spite.
Yourselves, despite yourselves.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, oh my god, and I liked Cranston in it. Cranston was really good. The acting was good. Stolberg was chewing some scenery, and I generally like him. I don't know. It was just a weird show. I was just like, they're so smart, yet they're so stupid. Like, I don't understand. Like, what was he doing? You know, he was like Breaking Bad the whole thing. It was okay. We made it to the end. Yeah. We did make it to the end. I was glad someone died, though. I just felt someone deserved to get killed.
Did you write in? I would like you to kill one of these three people, please.
Oh, my God. It was just torture. It was absolute torture. But we watched it all the way through. It was, you know, it's been fun because there's been a few shows that we just talked the whole time through the whole show. And we predict lines, you know, what are they going to say next? What's going to happen next? That's been kind of fun. Like The Undoing that was on HBO with Hugh Grant. That was not very good. But we still stuck with it just because. It was like, all right, why not? It's our Sunday night thing now.
Well, plus, there aren't enough episodes that you feel like you wasted that much time.
No, not really.
You know?
It's like, all right, it's 9 o'clock on a
do
Sunday. Let's have some fun.
You can do 8 Sundays. That's fine. You know, whatever. If it was 26 episodes, you'd be like, oh, God, this is a trudge.
Have you guys watched What We Do in the Shadows?
Oh, that show is fantastic. That show is hysterical.
It is so goddamn good.
And just the cast is phenomenal. I mean, they're just so good. The movie was great too.
The movie was fantastic.
The movie
was
all
really,
really good.
And they're all in. Like, they're not like just phoning it in.
They're
becoming those characters. They are all in.
I know.
It's like, wow, they're all in.
Who's the guy who in one episode plays
Jackie Daytona?
Jackie Daytona.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
That is
Jackie
hysterical. And I didn't realize it was, what's his name? Mark Hamill as the guy who was
Yes.
It took me a second. I'm like, I'm looking at it. I'm like, is that Mark Hamill? And I had to look it up. I'm like, oh my god, it is Mark Hamill. He was great. It was just so good. I like them all though. I mean, they're all equally great characters. What's the servant's name? Not a servant. What do you call it?
Are you talking about the energy vampire?
No, he's great too though. Guillermo.
Yeah, he's the familiar.
Yeah. Oh my god, he's hysterical. He's just so great. Funny. And then what was it? He was related to Van Helsing?
Yes, he's a Van Helsing.
It's just hysterical. So he's like he discovers that he's like this unbelievable vampire slayer, but he still wants to be a vampire.
Isn't that funny?
So he's like conflicted. It's like, I really want to be a vampire, but I have this ability to kill vampires. It was really, really good. It's good. The cast
could be
is
the
great.
New Blade.
What's that? Oh, the new Blade.
The new Blade.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. You could be like Wesley Snipes. It's just so funny. All of them. Who's the lead vampire? I can't think of the character.
Oh shit!
That's okay. But they're all great. The woman's great. They're just a fantastic cast. You know, the little guest appearances are great. Everything, and the energy vampire cracks me up.
Laszlo, the one who did Jackie Daytona.
Yeah,
he has a prog rock band.
I could see it.
Do you know that? Yeah, it's a prog rock band. He just came out with a new album.
Does he do original stuff or is he doing covers?
Yeah, no, it's all original.
Oh, that's funny. So is it like Genesis or like Peter Gabriel Genesis? Yes.
I bookmarked it. I'm hoping it's more like Yes. That's my cup of tea.
Yeah, I think I prefer Yes. I'm not into the old Genesis. I like Peter Gabriel. I don't care for Genesis so much.
Same.
It's a little
or Phil Collins.
Yeah, it's a little too weird for me. It just doesn't do it for me. You know, it's work to listen to, and music shouldn't be work. That's kind of how I feel.
Agreed.
You know,
yeah,
it should be there. It should be a feeling. Yeah, but I really like what we do in the shadows. Is there going to be a third season?
I think so. We need a third season.
Oh my God, it was hysterical. Oh, Laszlo, you left all these bodies in the basement. They were all half drunk. What? No. The blood on the floor everywhere. Oh. It's hysterical. That line just cracks me up. That's funny. And that's the first episode.
It goes down from there.
But then they get like Nick Kroll and a few other people.
Yeah, Nick Kroll, yes. He's the dude who did Big Mouth.
It's him and, what's his name? Who's the comedian?
John Mulaney.
Is he back in business?
He's out of rehab, but him and his wife are getting divorced.
Did you see his stand-up, the one at Carnegie Hall? Kid Gorgeous?
Yes. I love him. I absolutely adore him.
He's
he's
funny
fantastic.
guy, man. He is really, really funny. I'm glad to see he's doing better, though. Shame he's getting divorced, but
Yeah.
what can you do? That's showbiz.
That is showbiz for you.
His self-effacing humor is always so funny.
His delivery is just so precise. The way he just delivers a line.
And that's what I was going to say, too. He has this, like, I'm from the 1920s, kind of thing going on. And I love it. It just
He's
works.
Walter Winchell.
But then he goes off about, some coke binge he went on when he was in college. Or how drunk he was. It's just hysterical. It comes out of nowhere. It's really, really funny. Let me see. Mike, have you had a reprieve? Or now is it even worse now that you
it's worse. I got
more
more people
house.
at home, and they've taken over the televisions, and there's limited time. So all the DC shows are back on the CW, so we're watching The Flash and Black Lightning and Supergirl, so that's great. I have a 12-year-old boy, so we have a lot of that to watch. And my daughter is back from college, so now she and the mother they watched all of Schitt's Creek over Christmas during the winter break, and now they're back watching it again because it's somewhere I'll show like 5 or 6 of them in a row, so they're like off in one corner sequestered watching the same shows over and over again, and they just can't get enough of David. They just love him.
Oh, he's really good.
He's fantastic.
He's
absolutely
very, very
fantastic.
So they'll come down and they'll start quoting, and you'd be like, enough already. I'm trying to watch my show.
Yeah, Schitt's Creek was a family favorite of ours.
We didn't know anything about it until it ended. At the Emmys, it won all the awards, and then we watched the whole thing. Never saw it.
I don't think you're alone. I think there's a lot of people that it was just this sleeper for them.
And for Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, you grew up on SCTV. They're just the best. And you see him in that. And I don't really care for her character so much. She's a little too over the top. But everybody else, you're just like, oh, this is hysterical. And then you're like, that's his son? And he's the writer and the director and the producer. Like, that's unbelievable. He's doing all this work.
Oh, I didn't know he wrote and produced and directed it.
He won 4 Emmys for the show as the producer, for director, for writer, and for supporting actor.
I love Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara together. I think they're such a good team, like them on Best in Show.
Oh, they were great. It
was so fantastic.
They were really
so
good at Best in Show.
fantastic.
And Eugene Levy, again, he's a guy who's all in. He's not Eugene Levy anymore. He's the guy. And like Best in Show, he's like, oh, he's got some strange gait. Well, he has 2 left feet, and he's wearing 2 left shoes as he's walking around. And you're just like, this is just so silly.
So good. So good. I was just going to ask what you guys thought of the Damask Rose gin.
It's really so good. It's almost like a sipping whiskey.
What is Damask? Yeah. Is that the type of rose?
It's the type of rose, yeah.
Okay, that's why I couldn't figure out what it was.
Yep.
That's really, really good. It's again stands by itself. It's really good.
And again, he's not a gin guy.
And I can see why you had to drink them in that order, because the one was really kind of fruity forward up front. The other one is very lemony and more of a, I could see that in a really good cocktail. And the last one is really just by itself. That's just so good by itself.
I thought having the lemon verbena second, it shows you a cleaner style, but it also like resets your palate a little bit. I'm glad you guys like it. That's my favorite. That's my jam. Right there. I could drink that all day long.
And again, for somebody who thinks like gin is Beefeaters or London gin or some bottom well, what did you want? Oh, I'll put that with some bad tonic water too, because I like. It's such a revelation to get really well crafted gin.
You could drink this gin just as a gin, or you can up your cocktail and make it even more delicious by using an even more delicious gin. So it does bring your cocktail making / drinking to a different level, but it can also just show you cool and different flavors. And I think that's the thing that Americans are trying to grapple with, that you can just drink it by itself and enjoy that just as a drink in and of itself.
And to your point, you can take Gordon's and some tonic water and make G&Ts, and then you're adding the things to make it better than just a regular G&T. Where if you go and you get this, it does it for you.
It's already taken care of.
I get a
for
good
you, right?
quality tonic
for you,
water,
yeah.
and I got this. I don't need to do anything. I don't have to fix this. It's already fixed.
Yeah.
They already went and said, let's not do that. Let's do this. This is better. Let's do that.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Herb Garden Gin have their own internal mixologist. And his point with their gins is, let's not reinvent the wheel. This is a very flavorful gin, so we're going to make very classic, very simple cocktails that don't overtake all of the stuff we're trying to show you. And that's a cool approach. You don't have to think so hard to make a tasty cocktail with this. Yeah,
and again, I'm going to hate you a little bit because now I'm starting to like gin, and I don't like that. It's like the Isle of Whiskeys. I don't like that. I like a narrow little box. I fold the flaps down and I stay in the box, and I'm happy. Now,
all right. Well, how do you feel about broccoli Rob, Mike?
This is
You want some broccoli Rob? How about that?
I'm already eating spinach. Don't make me eat any more greens. That stuff will kill
No
you.
more greens?
That stuff will kill you. And like you said, these are the three that you bring in. But if you actually were ever allowed to travel anywhere, if you went there, you'd be blown away by all the stuff that he keeps in house. That doesn't make its way here.
Oh my gosh!
Which again, it's such a revelation to be that kind of crafty. Where you're like, I'm growing stuff today. Let's go and throw this in and see what happens. It's amazing.
Yeah. He has one release that's just called Wild, and one of the things that he focuses on in the garden, he has his roses over here, his junipers there, his coriander here, like everything's set up beautifully. But he doesn't call them weeds. He calls them wild indigenous plants, and he ensures that there's a large percentage of that being grown around, because those healthy plants ensure the plants he's trying to cultivate remain healthy as well. And so he makes a gin using some of those wild indigenous plants. And that's when he was saying, we have this great gin, and I have tasted it. It is absolutely wonderful. But the FDA would not know what to do with these herbs at all.
They're not herbs. We use some sort of pesticides to get rid of those things.
Well, let's say you did bring something like that in. Would it just fall into a different kind of category, or there's just no category for it?
I think it is just 100% uncharted territory. It's kind of like when we started bringing in Oishi and Fukano, right? Distillates made from rice. It was uncharted territory at that time. And so you've just got to work with the TTB to explain what it is, what the category is, and why it's relevant to that category, why it makes sense to import it. I mean, I'll be very honest with you. I don't know the ins and outs in working with the TTB, but I do know when we have these conversations with Hamish and they're talking about bringing in or offering products for import, he keeps on bringing up the FDA, the FDA, the FDA. So I think if the category is going to expand, it would be in conjunction with the FDA and the TTB. Yeah. This is I'm just gathering this from the conversations I had. I am not an expert at all when it comes to that stuff.
Just bring it in as pharmaceuticals. It's medicine.
Sure. It's a cure for what ails you.
Exactly. What's wrong with you? There's probably something in there.
Pharmaceuticals and Juniper.
That's just so it's palatable. That's all it's for.
Aaron went to the trouble of putting together a nice little rundown, so I figured let's respect the rundown.
Oh, that's nice.
So what else? Mike, so nothing from you, right? You've watched. You're stuck. You're in Rerunville.
I have to rewatch WandaVision and The Winter Soldier and The Falcon. I got to rewatch those to get ready for the Spider-Man release and the Doctor Strange release. So apparently there's a bunch of Easter eggs in those that they've pointed out now, so now I have to go back and watch it again to see what I missed.
Here's a question for you both. I say you both. Did you watch both those shows, Angela?
I did. I watched them both.
Okay.
I liked the performances. Like I liked what's her name, Elizabeth Olsen, and who was Vision?
Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany. They were great together.
Yeah.
They really were. The cast was fantastic. I like Who's is he Korean or Chinese actor? He was the FBI. He's the FBI guy.
Oh yes,
he's
He's
great.
fantastic.
He's great.
Ken Park. Is that his name?
He's great. He's great in Ant-Man too.
Is that his name? Yeah.
He's
I
great
forget
in
his
Ant-Man.
name. He's really good. You know what's good with him? If you ever get a chance on Netflix, Always Be My Maybe, and it's him and Ali Wong.
I wanted to see that.
It's
Yeah,
it's a
I wanted
rom
to
com.
see that.
It's cute. I like it a lot. I think it's really good. They're really good together. He's so funny. He's really, really funny. And Fresh Off the Boat's pretty funny. He's pretty good in that show too.
That's right. He's the fresh off the boat guy. That's what I recognize.
That's
him
a
from.
pretty funny show.
Yeah.
I was watching that
okay.
with my son for a little bit, and it's just funny. But the son's all into like Biggie and Tupac, and he's all into like the rap scene, and it's all. I think it's in the '90s,
Yeah.
so it's right around the time of all that. It's just really, really funny. It's a good show, but I like him. But going back to WandaVision, I thought that the performances were great. Even who's the girl? Kat Dennings.
Kat Dennings.
Oh, I
and,
like her.
Yeah, she's good.
Catherine Hahn.
Yeah. Oh, Catherine Hahn was fantastic.
She's
Catherine.
really good.
Catherine Hahn's awesome.
She's
she
really,
could do
really
anything.
good.
She's awesome.
She's good.
But did you like the last episode?
Of WandaVision?
WandaVision.
Honestly, I don't remember because I was kind of like, I didn't know what was going on with the show in a lot of it.
It kind of
was a
felt like
little
that to
weird.
wrap everything up.
Yeah, it
And
was
you're like,
kind
all
of
right, you kind of.
Yeah.
If this is, it needed 3 more episodes. You you only get 1 more. Oh crap, we got all the stuff we got to do.
I thought, because it was a 9-episode season,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought they could have taken episode 9 and just split it in, just give them episode 10, spread it out a little bit. They wrapped it in this tight bow, and the show was so stylized.
right.
And so perfect in its own little world. And then with the 9th episode, they're like, wait a second, we're Marvel. And then it had to be big, superhero fighting.
Yeah,
And
see that,
and
that,
I just, and
they lose me on that. They really
like
do.
that.
Whenever once
Yeah.
they get into the air and they're fighting, it's like I can't follow it anymore. It's like what is going on here?
Yeah.
And the Falcon and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they're great with like an 80s buddy cop thing with Anthony Mackie. And
They were
Sebastian
great
Stan.
together.
They're
Anthony Mackie and
they
Sebastian
really play off each other well.
They were very good together.
The only thing I didn't like about the show is in all of the Avengers films and all of the Captain America films, everything was epic. Absolutely epic. And this just seemed like a low-budget version of a Marvel show. That's the con. The pro, in my opinion, is I really love how they talked about race in this show. I thought they did it in a really smart way. Yeah, and that's another one I think I need to rewatch just because I think the first 2 episodes I just didn't love. I want to go back and see if I can appreciate it a
and
bit
you see
more.
if maybe you were missing something, having a bad day, whatever it was,
Yeah.
and now you watch it again.
I have bad
Seriously.
days. That's
Seriously,
true.
you watch
Maybe
something
like,
and you're ugh.
a 15-hour day, and then you try to watch a show, and I just fall asleep a lot of times. So
Or you watch something and people are walking through the room rushing you to do something else, and you're like, I can't enjoy this. I've poured my whiskey. I want to watch my show. Leave me alone.
But I thought they were really
Exactly.
good together. Mackie and Sebastian Stan were really good.
Yeah.
They had good chemistry.
yeah.
I did.
Yeah,
I liked
yeah.
their chemistry.
Good banner, the whole
Yep.
bit. But no, I know what you mean. Like when they went back and looked at that other guy who was also a super soldier, the black man. And
Oh, the older guy.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can't think of what his name was. But that whole thing was just
Jesus,
kind of
escaping
interesting. It was just really
That was awesome. And I never read Captain America.
No, neither did I. I never read any of them.
Like, yeah, I was like Mike. I was either a DC guy, but I also like Dark Horse and a lot of independent comics. But so I never really read the Marvel. But I hope it'd be interesting what that was based on. Marvel is always so ahead of their time talking about race stuff.
Talking about everything.
I mean, that's what the X-Men were, right? The X-Men were. That was civil rights right there. It was pretty cool. They were always forward thinking.
And they brought the Russians in, and the Russians weren't bad guys. They were just guys. Like the Black Widow or Colossus,
Yeah,
They were-
exactly.
They're not bad because they're Russian. They're just bad.
Right. Yeah, the world isn't black and white. There is gray area here. Yeah. I'm going to move to rum.
Twist my arm.
What do you
Twist my arm.
What rums do you have at the ready?
I have the 3 from the rum and cane.
the French overseas,
Yeah.
the British West Indies, and the Asia Pacific.
Now remember, we are booze dancing TV, so we're not just whiskey. And I think it's been, it's been the good and the bad. There's been the good and the bad with it. In terms of being focused, I think we may lose a lot of people because we go off book.
Yeah,
where it's not just whiskey, where it's like canned cocktails or beer or whatever. But on the plus side, at least from a personal perspective, we've got to try things we probably would have never tried if we would have just stayed with whiskey. Like you have your steady whiskey, and then you've got your other things that you like to try.
Whether it's cocktails a different way with that. You had your steady, and then you're on the side.
No, that's not allowed. No, I want to stay blogging, so I think I'll stay with my steady if I know what's good for me. Yeah, but it's nice to explore stuff, and especially now the last couple of years, just the whole rum thing, starting with with you guys sending us Black Tot and all the other stuff that went with it. It's been neat to just explore. Like Mike bought a bottle of Foursquare. Oh my god!
Oh, nice. Oh,
that stuff is just really, really good.
You just can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with Foursquare.
No, and I had no idea about the only thing I knew about Jamaican rum was Appleton, and not that Appleton's bad, but it's not Long Pond and all that really crazy stuff.
And
yeah, exactly.
When we had Mitch on, he was saying, everyone knows everything there is about rum. There's, silver, gold, and dark. I do. I knew that. Uh-huh. I knew all that. And
right.
You're like, no, that's nothing. You don't know anything about rum.
No, there's just so much more to it.
And now, the Black Tot was great because they sent the component parts. So you kind of see what it was and what they did to make it the Black Tot. And it was really kind of neat because each of the, again, if you buy into terroir and, each place is going to have different soil and it's different flavor and the water is a little bit different and this happens and that happens. It really does change things. And you go out and you try it and you're like, well, this is totally different. And one island you might love and another island you don't like quite as much, but you blend them together and you made something even better. Yeah.
Then there's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that so funny? Yeah. How, in Scotch whiskey, blending is typically poo-pooed upon by the aficionado, unless you're Compass Box, right? Because you're Compass Box, right?
Right.
But in the rum world, that's where it's at. It's with the blend. I mean, granted, you have your four squares and you have your singular distilleries, but there's something about the Navy blends that bring in all of these different flavors, and that's one of the things I really like about rum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
is the blending practices.
Well, and going back to Black Tot, what was neat is when we talked to Mitch Wilson and Dawn Davies, they were like, when they talked to Ollie, and Ollie's like, I want to make a rum that I like. I'm going into rum from a whiskey drinker's perspective, and I want something that I could appreciate on its own, as opposed to in a cocktail, in a Mai Tai. Which there's nothing wrong with a Mai Tai, but that's not what he was going with. That. Tai. Yeah, they're good. They're good drinks.
When he made this,
the 50th anniversary.
The 50th anniversary Black Tot rum. This is magic. This makes me respect rum more than any other rum that I've had. Because it's interesting how incredibly crazy and quirky and rummy it is, but it's also interesting from a whiskey drinker's perspective as well. Mm-hmm. Right? It just seems like a very inclusive rum that rum geeks get, but whiskey geeks can fall in line with. And I have too many of these bottles. I've purchased too many of these.
You say that now. In 5 years, you will not have purchased enough.
Right.
Too many, a.k.a. not enough, yes.
Uh-huh. So, going back to rum, to the rum and cane, where should we start with these?
So that's a good question. Well, I think the answer is easy. When this line was originally designed, and when I say designed, I mean from a flavor standpoint, mm-hmm. It was designed with the whiskey drinker in mind. And so it's actually going to change a little bit. It's going to get a little funkier, a little quirkier, a little more weird. But as far as this lineup goes, I would start off with the British West Indies. So this is going to have. Yeah, go ahead.
These are all blends, correct? But they're all from specific. He regionalized. How many people are behind this? I forget the gentleman's name that we talked to.
So you spoke with Ken Rose, and the company behind the brand is called Crucial Drinks.
Okay.
They're the same people who do Lost Distillery.
Oh, okay.
Brand.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
And basically what they're doing for this range is they take 2 casks of rum from a particular region, so one from one producer, one from another producer, and then marry them together. And so in this particular case, you have a cask of rum from Barbados that would be from Foursquare, and then another from Trinidad, which I don't think I'm allowed to say the distillery name, but I think it rhymes with Schmanga. That's just a guess.
The Schmengi Brothers. Who was that? Was that on the
Schmengi Brothers?
Was that SCTV?
It's SCTV. You know, on the nose you get a little bit of funk, and then you get to me you get a lot of vanilla, a lot of like the sugar cane aspect of it. It kind of smells like rum, and then it kind of smells like there's something else in here. I don't know what that is.
What's the ABV on this one? These are over 50, aren't they?
46. Yeah, no, these are all 46.
Oh, they're all 46? Okay.
Have you looked at the oils on this?
Yeah.
The oils are really nice in the glass. See on the palate, it's really soft. There's that caramel and vanilla, a little bit of that funk that Mike you were talking about.
I got a little bit of banana.
Yeah,
Like
on the back end
unripe.
I get a little banana. Yeah. It's just really different from rum. You know, we talked about gin, and you know, it's a well drink that you mixers. Rum, it's a well drink for sugary, syrupy, drinks. It's not. You know, they've done something different here. This is really nice.
Oh, can I ask you guys a very serious and important question?
Absolutely.
And this has to do with movies, so this all makes sense.
Talk to me.
Have either of you done the whole Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon and Wizard of Oz thing?
I did it once, and it's weird how it syncs up. Now, you have to start it at the third roar.
You started at the third roar.
And then you just go through it. It's really interesting.
And it syncs up beautifully. And I've never done it under the influence of anything.
I was just going to ask, was there any HR Pufnstuf going on during this?
No. It is the thing to do, or he is your friend when things get rough. But no, because I wanted to see, and it's... Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool.
We did it. I did it years ago. I think it's just I think it might have been just before we got married. We were over at my friend Rick's house, and he's like, "Oh, we got to do this." And it's weird. Like, wasn't the whole thing like where you fall off the balance beam, and she's like walking on the fence or something, and she falls?
Yeah, and then when she falls, and then David Gilmour says touch, and when she falls, she touches her uncle's arm when he says touch.
Yeah, it's weird how it syncs up.
When the tornadoes come in, that's when the song Big Gig in the Sky comes on. You know, when she opens the door and everything's green, the song Money comes on. Yeah, the Great Gig in the Sky, sorry. She opens the door and everything's green, the song Money comes on. And then finally with the Tin Man, when she puts her head up to the Tin Man's chest, the album ends with a heartbeat. And that's her listening to his heartbeat. Like, it lines up perfectly.
Yeah, it's neat. We did it the one time, and it was like, this is really, really weird. But it was kind of cool. Because I'm kind of, Wizard of Oz, I'm like, I had enough of that as a kid. I don't think I can watch it now.
You don't watch it every Thanksgiving?
No, we don't. We haven't. I think they usually put on, what is it? The Chevy Chase movies. We're usually at my in-laws for Thanksgiving. So it's always...
Vacation?
Or, one of those.
Or Modern Problems? Modern Problems. You all watch Modern Problems together.
We got Modern Problems, trust me. We got plenty of those. We got many problems. One of them, though, is not rum. I got 99 problems, and rum is not one.
No.
Yeah, no, we've done that before. That's kind of cool. Oh, now that we're talking music, tell us about the band. What are you guys doing with the band? Are you going to play some gigs, or...
We are. We actually had a live gig set up. But my guitar player and drummer got COVID, and so that didn't work out. And we were going to do a Facebook Live show. We're going to start practicing again in June.
Nice.
So hopefully in July we'll do a Facebook Live show.
Okay. And the band is Kimono Dragon?
kimono, like a Japanese kimono.
Yeah.
And dragon, like a drag queen.
Uh-huh. I thought it was funny. That's a great name.
Like a dragon, yeah.
It's a little play on Komodo dragon.
So it is, and we got it from these guys. I don't know if you see it. This is one of my favorite bands, Sparks, and they had an album called Kimono My House. And
that's
wait, can
terrible.
can I see the shirt again?
That's just terrible.
Does that guy have like a little? He's got like a little stash.
Oh yeah, he's got a little Hitler stash.
I know. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I don't know.
But these guys are awesome. They're from Montana.
Okay.
And they were like a 70s glam rock band that turned into like an 80s jazzy disco-y kind of thing.
Really?
And I mean, they're still around.
Yeah.
But in the early 70s, they had a #1 hit in the UK. They knocked Elton John out of the #1 spot. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road was replaced by This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us by Sparks.
Interesting. Wow. I'll have to look it up. All right, I'll check them out. I got Apple Music. I can find them. Are they on Apple Music?
They are. It's like triumphant feminine glam rock. It's wonderful.
Feminine.
The Russell, the singer Russell, he always sings in falsetto. It's wonderful.
That's funny.
You may love it or hate it.
Yeah.
But
Now, was the band a
fun.
college thing or was it a high school thing? What was it? Like, when did you guys?
No, this band started in 2003. So, I mean, I graduated high school in '91. So this is far
so it's not
after
a high school
that.
thing. Okay.
Yeah. But I've been playing music since I was 13. Just
Yeah.
being in punk rock bands and hardcore bands and things like that. And this one has our, we're influenced by Zappa and Captain Beefheart and Iggy Pop and Talking Heads and Dead Kennedys and like squishing all of that together
Captain
to make
Tennille
just
and
weird. Cabinet, yes, 100% Cabinet Tennille.
How about the Carpenters? You get the Carpenters in there?
We did cover a Johnny Winter song.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we played a festival in Germany called the Zappanal, and we covered it.
Wait, the Zappanal?
What's that song?
Is it a Zappa festival?
Yeah, it was a Frank Zappa dedicated festival, and we played the song "Summer Rain" by Johnny Winter.
You got to go like the nice seasons in the sun kind of thing.
We had joy. We had fun. We had seasons in the sun.
We had seasons in the sun. Yeah.
Joshua, you have to understand. Mike only listens to artists that are no more.
I only remember music from my childhood. I don't remember anything else.
What do you listen to then, Mike? If you're in the car and you need to listen to something?
I was a tremendous Harry Chapin fan.
Oh, nice.
So I listened to a whole lot of that. And Jim Croce. Pretty much anybody who is actually
singer-songwriter kind of stuff. Yeah.
So,
I hear you.
I'm a visual music guy where there's a complicated story usually involved in some of their songs.
Yes, yep. I know exactly.
But I'll listen to anything. It really doesn't matter to me. And now I'm stuck listening to country music all the time.
Why are you stuck listening to country music all the time?
Because they all like country music, so it's on. They program my car radio with their channels and put it on. And
I thought you were the country music aficionado.
I will listen to country music, but they put it on all of the time, and you're just like,
really?
Oh,
it's funny. Well, it's funny because his wife is also a metalhead, so she's like an '80s hair band fan, right?
Huge fan of hair bands, but she's like the hair bands, but the ballads they put out is what she's more fond of.
Oh, so like. Every rose has its thorn, and that's what you're going for. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, she's a huge Bon Jovi fan, and we went to see Bon Jovi play now, and he's like a grandfather dancing around on the stage, and I leaned over to her and I said, but he doesn't seem like a guy who's on a steel horse looking for a ride. He doesn't seem like that guy anymore. Like, it's kind of like if you went to see the Stones now and you went, seriously? You still haven't gotten satisfaction? I don't understand. You guys are like 80. You're worth $1 billion. When does the satisfaction hit?
So do you think John Bon Jovi is not? He's no longer wanted. Neither dead nor alive.
He's not wanted dead or alive. No, he might be wanted to go and watch. Hey, could you bring my trash cans up? I'm going on vacation. Sure, thanks. I stopped my paper. Could you make sure it's not outside my house? He'd be that guy. But I just think it's funny how all these guys are like these tough macho, denim leather jackets with big fringe, and now you look at them and you're like, yeah, you got to stop playing that music. Just stop. Like Rod Stewart, he made a transition, and he also lost his voice from doing everything he did. He sings like show tunes from the 40s in his Las Vegas act because it's talk music.
Oh, I would watch that.
Where you can go through it and you just...
because he can't sing.
Because you don't have to hit... there's no high notes. You're just crooning at that point. And he realized, I can't really make a long career out of this, but people want to come see me, so great, we'll go do that.
I would love to watch him sing show tunes.
And he's very entertaining.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm sure he is. Can you imagine the stories he has?
He does like the American Playbook, that kind of thing.
Gosh.
Can you imagine the Rod Stewart stories? My God, he goes back to the late 60s?
But I saw him at the Man once.
With Faces.
Oh,
Faces. I'm late to the Faces game, but they were pretty fantastic.
But I saw him
pretty fantastic.
I saw him at the Man when his voice was going, and he still put on a hell of a show.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's a big open air place to see a concert here in Philly.
Oh, okay.
And the showmanship was tremendous. The actual music, not so much.
Well, it's funny with music though, because the beauty of it is you can kind of pick up pretty much anywhere. Like even if you watch movies and TV, like with Faces, I didn't really start listening to a Faces album till like Rushmore, like you've seen Rushmore, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The very last song they danced to. I can't remember the name of this. I know the song. I'm not going to sing it, but I don't know what the title is. But I wish I knew then what I know now, or whatever that is, where he's at the very last.
Oh,
dancing.
yes.
So then I went back and I listened to the Faces album. I'm like, oh my God, this is really good. Where was I? Where have they been all my life?
Yeah.
It's just really, really good.
Yeah, Wes Anderson did a really great job of highlighting either lesser-known bands or bands that birthed people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think in that same movie he had the song, that band Creation.
I'm not
and
sure
there the song goes da-na, da-na-na.
Oh, yeah. See, I didn't know who it was.
Da-na, da-na-na.
That's just a great movie.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
I love Rushmore.
And I discovered some good music through that movie.
Uh-huh.
I'm
a lot
pouring, by the way, the Asia Pacific now.
Asia Pacific?
Yeah.
Where's the Asia Pacific from?
Asia Pacific.
So specifically.
Yes. See, now I have the band Europe stuck in my head because I hated the band Asia. Not that I liked the band Europe, but I hated the band Asia more than I hated the band Europe.
Did you misunderstand my question?
I thought we were still talking about music. Oh, sure. Okay. So this is rum from two distilleries, one from Indonesia, and one from Fiji.
Fiji, that's what it was. I remember the Indonesia. I couldn't remember with the Fiji one, right?
See, with this one is like pineapple upside down cake for me, and just like sticky cake bits and orange oil.
And you don't get the funk that you got off the first one. You're
I
getting
think
more of
this is a lot more subtle than the other one.
Do you like the funk, Mike?
It depends. If it's all funk, if it's too much funk, then no. Then you just did something to make me tear up. There was no point behind that. I'm more of a sweeter flavor profile, so this would be more to my what I'd reach for normally. Where now you've introduced some of this stuff from Barbados, now I have to go get that. Thanks for that.
Hashtag you're welcome. Yeah, this is nice. I like this, but it's funny. I think just like with the herb garden, the way that was lined up with the pink elderflower and then the lemon verbena and then the damask rose, I think this with British West Indies, then Asia Pacific, and then with French overseas, it's going to do the same it's a similar thing, just through the lens of rum. This is a bit of a palate cleanser.
And similar to the lemon verbena gin, I think this would up a cocktail.
100%.
That it really would be like, if you like rum in a cocktail, try this rum in a cocktail. Because, again, it's a little softer in terms of the flavors, but you can tell it's really good.
But I think that there's reasons to drink certain things at certain times. Like, this would not be my go-to flavor profile because that's not where my palate goes to. But I would say the same thing about whiskeys from the Glenrothes. I typically don't reach for those whiskeys because they tend to be a bit softer, a bit easier. But there are people who are Glenrothes fanatics who say, you know what? No, that's what I like. And I think similarly, there are people who say, you know what? No, this is what I like.
Going back to Glenrothes, I like the recent stuff they've been taking out. The Solera selection?
I know.
They're really,
I know.
really
I
nice.
need to start retracting. My statements about Glenrothes because I think their whiskeys have always been a bit more relaxed, a bit more welcoming is not necessarily the word I want to use. I would just say easier. And now I just think they're a bit more challenging.
You want to say boring,
and
don't you?
I want to move on, and I want to say that the new whiskeys
they're much more interesting.
Have
good.
They're interesting. Yeah, they're interesting. They're fun, and they're showing a side of Glenrothes that was typically only shown through the lens of an independent bottler, and now you get to see some of the more wilder flavors coming from it. And I think, just for their brand, I think it's better for them.
Yeah, because I finished off the 12 last week or a couple weeks ago. Really nice. It was really, really good. And I didn't like because they always did, but didn't they do like a vintage? They didn't really put an age statement before.
They did, yeah. They always did a vintage.
And we've had a couple, and they were like, it was like kind of like, I don't know, just weird. Or a couple that were off. But these were a little bit more, much more drinkable. I just really enjoyed them a lot more. Mm-hmm. So whatever they did, the tweaking, the retooling, I thought they were great.
You should keep
now,
doing
you guys bottled the Glenrothes once, didn't you? Like way back?
Too. We did a.
I know I had one of them.
In 2017, we did an 8-year-old from Second Fill Sherry Hoggy, and then in 2019, I want to say we did a 20-year-old from a bourbon Hoggy.
I think I had I think I may have had the one from 17, and I really liked that one. And it was interesting because that one I really liked. And there's a few distillers where I don't like the distillery bottlings, but I like the independent bottlings. You know, like Kalila, I prefer the independent bottlings to the stuff that we get.
You said the Bowmore, you said the same thing.
Bowmore, right? Same thing. Yeah, I love the Bowmore independent bottlings, like the stuff the Society pulls out, you know?
Oh, yeah, the Society is.
And I know you guys did a Dalmore way back, and that was really good, and I don't typically like Dalmore.
I remember loving that one at the time. I still don't love Dalmore. I don't like the flavor profile, and I've revisited that, and I'll stand behind us bottling that because it was a good, complete whiskey.
Yeah, no, that was great. I really liked it.
But it remains one of my least favorite bottlings because their typical flavor profile just doesn't.
Yeah,
really.
It doesn't do it for me either. I can't. I could say I've never bought a bottle of Dalmore.
I'll tell you, as a '73 baby, this is very important to me. They bottled a 1973 vintage in the mid 2000s, and that is one of the finest whiskeys I've ever had. Really? It was absolutely remarkable. Absolutely remarkable.
I was just gifted a Dalmore 18, and my wish was that I was gifted something else because I'm not a huge. I mean, that was wonderful. You know, thank you very much. It was really very appreciated. But give me an 18 of anything else, I'd be fine.
Well, actually, you know, it's funny because Father's Day is right around the corner. And, you know, in the past, I would always say, give me a bottle of whiskey. But then, you know, the problem is if you give someone that doesn't drink whiskey, tells you to you tell them to buy you whiskey, they never get you what you want. So I don't put whiskey on my list anymore unless it's a very specific bottling that I'm after.
I'm always curious about this. If you were to gift someone a whiskey who you thought was getting into whiskey and you thought you could help their journey, what would be the bottle that you would gift them?
Is this just a general gift?
It's a I thought you were interested in getting into whiskey. This will help you on your journey sort of gift.
So what's the gateway?
The Doublewood.
The Doublewood, the 12-year-old?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I think, but it's like anything. I think if you pick something for someone, you have to kind of know what they like and what they don't like, you know, or where you think they'll go or how open they are to trying something new. I have a neighbor.
And what do they drink now?
Right.
You know, like
Right.
for example,
where do you want to go?
Tell your story about the neighbor.
My neighbor across the street, he was not really a whiskey person, and he would just like, he's, I'm drinking Jameson. So I gave him a whole sampler, and I gave him some peated stuff. I gave him some Ardbeg 10. I gave him some Lefroy's.
Mm-hmm.
He absolutely loved the peat. He went crazy for it. He's like, oh, this is really, really good. He's like, oh, I just bought a bottle of Ardbeg 10 last week, and I finished it. I'm like, well, I think you better slow down, my friend. I think you better slow down.
He's a guy who drinks beer that has big, bold flavor.
Yeah, he drinks really big beers.
So you're like, it kind of makes
Elf.
sense that your Scotch would be something you liked with a big, bold flavor. Like
He wants something to assault his palate.
If you gave him the double wood, he'd be like, well, that was nice, thanks. But if you get like a middle of the road drinker who's not really doing too much but is afraid of peated whiskeys or something that's overproofed, or I think the double wood's a fair thing to get, especially if they drink like a base bourbon. If you're drinking stuff that's like the Balcones and you're drinking all that, scrub oak flavored stuff, you're like, okay, you're a barbecue guy. We're getting you something from Campbelltown because that's like a clam bake, or we'll find a Glen Scotia something over there for you. Or if you're somebody like a real big bold flavors, get something from one of the Isles, or get something from Isla. Get a Jura, or get like a one-off compass box that has those big kind of bold flavors to it. It really depends on what the person drinks. If it's just a general question, I always steer people to the double wood because I don't think you offend people with that.
Or if you're primarily a bourbon drinker, I guess it comes up a lot on some of the discussion boards. But Glenmorangie, the original, is a good stepping stone.
That's a good one.
That is a very good stepping stone.
That's a good one.
And you don't really appreciate how good it is until you have like a whole bunch of other stuff and you realize, ooh, wait. I think I already told the story before, but I was on a cruise with my wife and the boys, and we had the drinks package. And I was like, I don't really want to drink beer, and I really don't want to drink, because they didn't really have any great beer on the menu. So I'm like, all right, what, I'll work through the whiskey selections. So I'm like, all right, I'll try the Seagram 7. I'll try this. And I'm like, they were just not good. And then I landed on Glenmorangie 10. I said, all right, I'm done. I'm going to drink this for the rest of the cruise. Yeah. So if I wasn't at the mojito bar drinking cocktails, I'm like, I'll just have a Glenmo, because you really can't go wrong. It's consistent. It's consistently good.
100%.
What do you think, Joshua?
Yeah.
Where would you go?
I really want to quickly add on, Angelo, to what you were saying about the Glenmorangie 10. It is just absolutely solid. And I remember having a conversation with David Blackmore years ago, and he said, and he's nosing, he says, there's something about this 10-year-old I just keep coming back to. And at the time when he said it, I said, okay, I think he's still on brand, right? But no, there is something about that Glenmorangie that you just keep coming back to. For me, Mike, I really liked your approach. I think you kind of have to know that friend a little bit,
right,
and know what she or he likes and what's interested in. That'll help you make a suggestion. But if you don't know, or if you're looking for just sort of maybe not an all-rounder, but something that has a higher potential of pleasing this person that you don't necessarily know what their palate is, I tend to suggest the Aaron 10-year-old.
I don't know if I've had that one.
That's a good one too.
It's fruity, it's inviting. Yes, it's 46% alcohol, which may scare people if they look at it, but it's got so much oil to it that it protects your tongue, and it's just so satisfying and friendly, and that's my go-to. If I just don't know, that's my suggestion.
I worked with a guy who they hired him because on his resume where it said interests, he wrote Scotch. So I was at a company event with the guy. He was from our Chicago office. It was a company event with him, and we went to a bar, and we were at an Elephant and Castle. Why in God's name we went to Elephant and Castle, I don't know, but we went there. And I said, oh, you're a Scotch guy. What kind of Scotch? And he looked at the bar, and we got an Oban. And you're like, yeah, this would not be like the first Scotch I'd give somebody who never drank Scotch before. This isn't like the warm, inviting. It's not off-putting. There's nothing like... Yeah, this isn't really something for everybody. It might be what you really like, but this isn't a crowd pleaser. This is like one of the... Where is the Glenmo? I want that instead. Because it's just... I didn't drink Scotch for years because I was like, they all like this? I'm not really sure I like this. This isn't so good.
So did you find the Oban to be what was too much for you?
There was a little bit of peat to it, which I didn't like.
Okay.
And
that's right.
And I think for me, as an Irish whiskey guy, that's pretty much all I really drank a lot of Jameson. It was so different that you'd be like, I'd rather just go back to Jameson. Where if you'd had the double wood, and then you'd start branching out, and Caribbean cask, and try the next thing across their lineup, or go the Glenmoe route and Quinta Reuben, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and okay, that's a whole different thing. It's a whole flavor profile that I really enjoy now that I really wouldn't have picked up from before.
The Glenmoe 10's my benchmark whiskey. Yeah. If Jason and I are selecting casks, I'll nose Glenmoe 10. And if it smells off, then I know my palate's something's going on. Because it's always consistent. I always know what I'm going to get. And I buy it enough that when it is inconsistent, I can easily regauge my palate based on any slight changes. Right. That's the whiskey I know. I absolutely love it. So this French Overseas.
Oh, we're doing round 3?
Ding, ding.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to drink more rum. Yeah.
And plus, we're keeping you up past your bedtime, so, we don't want to...
It is totally past my bedtime. This one is a cask of whiskey from Martinique and a cask of whiskey from Reunion. And this is where it gets a bit more funky.
Yeah, it's going off the rails.
This is where yeah. And this is nothing for rum.
Is Martinique the rum agricole, is that Martinique, or is that more like Haiti?
Yeah, no, agricole is French. That's when it gets funky.
Okay.
Now, but there's different kinds of funk, right? There's the agricole funk. There's that Jamaican Long Pond, just more esters than they know what to do with, kind of funky rum.
To me, I keep coming back to black olives with this. I don't like black olives. Not that I won't drink this, but it scares me because I'm not a big fan. But I get a black olive note to it.
You just revealed an immense character flaw. I've never heard anyone say they don't like black olives. You don't put them on your fingers and then just bite them off your fingers?
Are you talking the canned olives, or are you talking about the oil-cured, Sicilian black olives?
I think black olives taste a little bit too much like soil for me. I'd rather have the Calamatas or a nice Spanish olive.
Oh,
he's an aristocrat.
I'm fancy. What can I tell you? I'm just a fancy guy.
He likes the little, what are the ones from France? The little tiny ones? Those funky little olives? I can't think of the name of them.
Oh, oui.
The Niçoise. He likes the Niçoise olive from Nice.
Niçoise.
He likes that in his salad Niçoise.
Ah, yes.
But this is it's like astringent. There's a lot more robust nose to it than everything else. There's so much in it that you're kind of like, is this really rum? Is that what this is? Where are the bananas?
But this is, remember when I said before we started tasting this that this line was kind of designed with a whiskey drinker palate in mind. When it comes to a rum drinker's palate, we're getting closer to it through this rum. As funky as it is, there's an immense sweetness behind it. It's a sweet-driven funkiness. Think about papaya. Papaya is the weirdest freaking fruit in the world because it tastes like sweet, delicious dirt. And that's the point with this. It's that funk with the sweet backbone.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that if you nosed it, you wouldn't necessarily know that it was rum. But once you try it, you go, well, that's really good rum. Oh, yeah, that's pretty nice. I like that.
So you like it then?
Yeah. I said I would drink it, but when you get the nose, it's a little too much funk on the nose. When you taste it, it works. So you're like, yeah.
So going back to the nose, is it still funky when you go back to the nose after having
I still get that
sipped
same black olive kind of note to it. Like you said, it's sweet, delicious dirt. I get a black olive kind of note to it. And okay, it's not necessarily I'm not getting the sugar cane. I'm not getting the vanilla and the caramel and all the stuff you normally would think you'd get with it. And then you taste it and you're like, oh, that's where it all is. It's in the taste. It's not necessarily on the nose. Mm-hmm. And similar to the 3 gins where one was very fruity, one would upscale a cocktail, and one is really a standalone. This is the same order that you try them. And there's some method to your madness. One is very, flavor funk forward. The ones would upscale a cocktail, and this is really a sipper. You could drink this all by itself. Not that you could drink all this stuff by itself, but this one especially, you wouldn't put this in anything. I don't know how you could make a cocktail.
This is big. This is much bigger than the other two.
Yeah, it's similar to your comment with the people out at the herb garden going, no, we don't want to ruin this. We don't want to make a cocktail like you make it. We want to make it better. And with this, you'd be like, well, what would you do with this? I don't necessarily know that there's much you could do to make it better because It's so good by itself.
Yeah, I would almost hate to hide this in a cocktail.
Well, that's the problem with a lot of this stuff. Well, not the problem. It's the good and the bad. The nice thing is you don't have to do anything. Just pour it and enjoy. Like fresh fruit in season. You know, you don't need to do anything to it. When it's really good, just enjoy it for what it is.
When we did this before, I drank them in the wrong order, and I had the French one first.
Oh,
and it almost killed the rest of the taste of the rums. We were just like, whoa, I probably shouldn't have done that. That wasn't so good. And I really didn't like it.
It's like starting with Ardbeg.
Yeah, I really didn't like it. Wow, I can't taste anything now. But I really didn't like that one as much, but I like the other ones more. And now I think I like all of them about the same because we drank them in the right order. And, you know, you kind of see like, all right, they built, one was the palate cleanser in between, and they're so well done. They really are well done.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, how simple the blending process was for this. That it really was just 2 casks, but they found the right 2 casks to make it all work in the end.
Is it as simple as 50-50, or did they do a little more than that?
They did do a little more than that. It's okay. I don't think it was an even 50-50 because they do talk about, you know, keeping these cask ends, you know, the dribbles that are left, you know, whether it's 5 liters or 50 liters. And then just making this, you know, big rum blend from that.
The endless cask.
From all the cask ends. Yeah, exactly.
I like these. These are really, really... It's just neat to just explore something different. You know, just to go somewhere different. And again, like we said at the beginning, Scotch is our main squeeze. But, you know, we get to try other things. You know, it's neat to see the way things go and how they kind of gear things toward different people and different tastes.
I hate that I think I like the gin more than I like the rum.
Really?
I'm not happy about that.
Wow.
Not happy about that at all.
I'm surprised.
I'm not happy.
That's great. That's so
enjoy
cool.
them both. I think they're off. I think it's awful.
Why you? No, again, because I really am not a big fan of run-of-the-mill Juniper. What they did with the herb garden stuff, it's so good. And it's so different. Where the rum, I've had a lot of rum, and I like rum because it's usually very sweet and syrupy, and I'm good with that. Yeah. And not that they didn't do something different here. It didn't, you know, I was a fan of rum to begin with, so they didn't change my mind. Where the herb garden gins, they're just so good. Oh, you.
Yeah, it's kind of eye opening.
Yeah.
And I think your point is a good one about the rum. Most rum has a lot of sugar in it and is very approachable and is very mixable. And what you're tasting now are completely unadulterated rums with no additives at all, just, you know, marrying some casks together. So you're experiencing it in its more natural form, which is not what most rum drinkers are used to because they're used to just popping it in a cocktail. Yeah.
So what do you have? What do you have left in the hopper in terms of shows you're watching? Anything new that you're interested in, or is there anything out there that like piques your interest and you want to explore?
So I'm really interested in Loki when that comes out. The trailer for Loki
he's good.
Yeah.
He's
I just watched King Kong again because
King Kong?
he's Skull Island. Kong Skull Island.
Oh, okay. He's
Skull Island.
He's just so good in that. Where you're like, wow, that's Loki. Wow, he's really good.
He's very. Hey, you know what? Question.
Oh, I forgot he was in it.
Hey, Joshua, have you seen that movie he did with Tilda Swinton? Didn't he do a movie where they're both vampires?
They both would play wonderful vampires.
I know, right?
How angular they are. Geez, I can't think of what movie they would have been in where they're vampires.
I can't think of. I know that they did this. I just can't think of the name of the movie, but I know that they're both like vampires, and I just can't remember what it was. But yeah, he's really good. He's very good. Yeah, when's Loki come out? Is it soon?
June 9.
Okay, good. Yeah, because that's good. They're doing like everybody else. They're just kind of a little short series, and it's funny because the last year and a half has gone by so fast. Like we watched WandaVision. It's like, oh my god, wait, there's only 2 episodes left. How'd that happen?
Yeah,
it's just flying. Everything's flying by. It's crazy.
The other thing I'm looking forward to, and it's in production right now, is the 3rd season of Afterlife with Ricky Gervais.
Oh wait, which one?
Do you know that?
Maybe
Afterlife. He plays a widower, and it's just his life dealing with the crushing depression of losing the one person. who made him happy. Yeah, it's Netflix.
I think I saw the first season.
It reminds me of All in the Family, not because it's anything like All in the Family, but All in the Family always did such a wonderful job of giving you an opportunity to laugh and cry in the same episode.
Right.
And this show does that.
Is this the one where he works for a newspaper?
Way. Yeah.
Okay, I did see it. It was very good. I like Gervais. Yeah. Gervais is an interesting guy.
His Golden Globes, it's unbelievable when he sees the Golden Globes.
And what I like about him, too, is he knows when to call it quits on a show and move on to something else. So he's smart in that way. He's not milking it. It's like, okay, I did this character. Yeah. I did The Office. The Office is done. America, you could do 55 seasons of The Office. I'm doing 2. I said all I have to say. I'm moving on to something else. Same thing with extras. I mean, he was great in extras, too. Yeah. Actually, you know who was great on extras? Did you see the episode with Kate Winslet?
I saw all of them. Yes, of course. I saw all of them, so the answer is yes.
And I think she really won me over with that one. Because I always like when someone who's usually a very serious actor, and you see them do a comedy, and they're really good at comedy, they win me over. Like Meryl Streep, I never really liked Meryl Streep all that much. But then she did, like, Defending Your Life. And I loved her in Defending Your Life.
Which was fantastic. Yeah,
she was great in that. And then I was like, all right, now I got an appreciation for Meryl Streep. And that's the thing I liked about Winslet. Like we talked about this in our last pod where she was in Heavenly Creatures, and I didn't really like her then. But she won me over in, like, Sense and Sensibility. She's great in the one with Jim Carrey. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, yeah.
She was fantastic. Right. I mean, she's just really good. Yeah. She's just very, very good. You know, she takes some chances.
I've always liked her. I first, from Titanic.
What's not to like?
I liked everything. I liked both things and everything. But the episode of Extras that always comes to mind for me is the one with Sir Ian McKellen, where he's talking about his acting process, and all he does to act is pretend that he's that person, and it's just so fun. No, I just pretend I'm them, and then I'm them. It's so good. It is. Oh, he's a very good comedian. He can be a very good comedic actor.
I like the one with Daniel Radcliffe, where he comes in and he gave me cigarettes. I told him not to, Mommy. And like his mother's dropping him off and picking him up every day.
Oh, so good.
That's funny. Yeah, Loki sounds great, and I have to check out Afterlife again. I like I think I saw the first season. I don't know if I saw the second.
Yeah, he does a lot of 2-season stuff. This one he's doing 3 seasons. I'm really excited for that. And of course, Stranger Things 4 is something I'm excited for. Oh, last thing I'll tell you, because it is past my bedtime. But in the theme of movies, COVID robbed us of a December Dune release.
Oh yeah, the Dune's out again. Yeah.
And Dune is supposed to be coming out, I think, in October of 2021.
This is the Denis Villeneuve, I think, is the director. He did the second Blade Runner movie and Sicario and all that stuff.
Now, did you like the original movie compared to the books? Did you read the books? Big fan of the books? Or
I read Dune multiple times, and I read Dune Messiah, which was the one after that, and then I didn't really touch the other ones. So I was a huge Dune fan. I loved the David Lynch Dune as a movie, but I didn't love it as an adaptation of the book.
Right.
There were elements of the movie that I think he did a really good job translating parts of that book into movie form. Most of it he did a terrible job, but I liked it as a movie, as a standalone. Yeah, as a standalone movie.
It'll be interesting to see how this works. If it's more true to the book, or if it's more true to David Lynch.
Have you read the books, Mike? Or?
If it's different, yeah. And I thought the same thing, that it didn't really follow the book. It was a very good movie. I like Kyle MacLachlan was really good.
Kyle MacLachlan's great. I like him. I like David Lynch in general.
If you were a big fan of the book, you'd be like, yeah. It was good. I liked it.
While we're talking David Lynch, let me just backpedal on my Showtime comment. They did the one thing they really did really well. Did you see The Return, Twin Peaks?
Yes.
I gotta say, it was so weird. It was so out there, but I mean, I watched every single episode and I was locked in. Some of the episodes were just really out there, but it was just really, really well done. And Kyle MacLachlan was unbelievable. Yeah. He was playing like 4 different versions of himself.
Did you need to revisit the original show and subsequent movie to appreciate?
What I noticed, and what I read beforehand, they said if you watch Fire Walk with Me, that connects to The Return better than the shows. So I think if you watch that, you'll know what's going on to a degree. I mean, as much as you can know what's going on in a David Lynch movie. But,
yeah, I just expect nothing to link to anything he's doing in the new thing. So
yeah, no. Fire Walk with Me, though, was worth it. And actually, I saw that when it came out, and I didn't care for the movie at the time. I watched it again, and it is actually really good. It's better than I remember.
I loved that movie. I didn't like the series. The series didn't really do it for me, but I liked the movie a lot. It scared the crap. It really scared me.
Yeah, it was freaky. That. And this was, I mean, he just goes, it's all over the place. I couldn't even describe it. It's something you just have to watch. What is neat, though, every single episode ends with, like, a musical performance. And it's kind of cool because there's stuff I just didn't really like. Who's the one singer? Sharon Van Etten?
I don't know the name. I don't know the name now.
Yeah, she's pretty good. But she does one song in there, and I started listening to her stuff, and she's really good. It's Sharon Van Etten, Etten. The later albums I like better than the earlier albums, but the last few albums have been really good. But it was neat. It was really, really well done. And it was kind of sad, too, because, everybody's 20 years after. Everyone's older, and it's just interesting. But Kyle MacLachlan was awesome. I mean, he was like 4 different parts. And even Laura Dern was great, too. Again, I don't pretend to understand it.
Wow.
I don't pretend to understand it. I'm not even going to try to explain it. But it was quite the experience.
As long as you're entertained, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I think it's okay to be entertained.
Entertained is not the right word, but I was engrossed and I was engaged. So it was good. It was really, really good.
Are you not entertained?
Okay.
Yeah, but it's it's just so bizarre. You just don't know what you're watching. It was very good. So anyhow, I guess we'll end it there. So Loki is on the radar. Ricky Gervais.
Loki, Stranger Things, and the new
Afterlife.
Ricky Gervais, and then Dune, the Dune movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And maybe actually go to a movie. Wouldn't that be nice? Sit in a theater.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
Can't wait. I'm gonna sit in a bucket of vaccines and just watch that movie.
Well, Mr. Hatton, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you had a good time. Thank you for guiding us through the gin and the rum.
It was a pleasure. Please give my best to Aaron. I was sad to not have him here. I hope he's okay.
All right, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
You want to hang in the green room for a second, or you got to go?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, just give us 2 minutes to close this out. We'll just put you in there for 1 second. All right, sir. Thank you again for joining us. We will talk to you very soon, and thanks for guiding us through the spirits. That was fun.
Yeah, cheers.
And delicious.
Pleasure.
Cheers, sir. Well, sir, how you feeling?
We meandered a bit. Aaron wasn't here to crack the whip. I don't know what to do.
Does he really crack the whip, though?
If he doesn't have his rundown, I don't know what to do.
Let me tell you something. I've driven with the man. He's all over the place.
Yeah, there's no rundown?
No, there's no rundown. No, it's just all over the place. It's like a winding road. It's like going through that, what's the one canyon out in California? One of those. It's a wandering road. No, it's all over the place. No, that was good fun. Good fun.
Yeah, and we touched on so many things before when we had Sam and Hamish and all the other guys on, Hamish, that we really didn't get to spend as much time with the gin and the rum as we were able to do today. And it really is eye-opening stuff. So, I mean, they bring out a really nice product. And you can tell, like, they could probably import anything they wanted. And they seem to want to go out of their way to find that unique kind of thing and be like, yeah, we could bring anything in, but what's the point of that?
Well, like we've said before, it's like we're already in a niche. This is like a niche within that niche. Yeah. Which is what's exciting too, because I think it's like, I think we kind of gravitate towards the smaller independent producers and just the more interesting stuff.
The gin was really good. Really like that.
It is really good. Well, sir.
All right, play us off.
Play us off? All right. Well, folks, if you like this podcast, by all means, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, Audible, Spotify, wherever else you get your podcasts. And, of course, you could always find us on boozdancing.com. And once again, questions, comments, answers, love letters, hate letters. What else can you get? What other kind of letters can you get? Cease and desist letters.
Some Dear John letters.
Dear John letters. Email us at boozdancing@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. All right, sir.
Cheers.
Cheers, sir. Peace.